Ambassador, you first. Has the president's trip so far been a success? Do you think by the White House's metrics of success?
Well, I think a couple of things, Mark, and I should say too, the most recent job I've had in government is what we call chief of protocol,
Yeah,
another ambassador
yeah,
rank job.
yeah,
So I actually coordinated these trips. So when President Biden went to the Middle East or anywhere in the world, we actually built those trips, built in the deliverables,
yeah.
because you're not going to go on a foreign trip without some wins.
Let me just ask you, did anybody ever offer him a plane as one of the deliverables?
Nor, not only that was it not offered, it would not have been accepted. But
Yeah,
it's
okay.
that's a larger conversation, which I'm sure we'll have in a bit. So I think there's a few things to unpack here. I think one, anytime you sign agreements with foreign nations, and it sounds like we're at least talking a couple hundred billions of dollars in defense contracts and whatnot, I think that's a win. I'm not one to give Donald Trump or the Trump administration a ton of credit, but I think these are good things. And anytime we're bringing that part of the world closer to us, with eyes wide open, though, I think it's a good thing. I think the geopolitics here, though, Mark, are extremely murky. And as someone who is enormously skeptical of the Trump administration, and as someone who has coordinated these trips before, I have a couple of comments like to see him sit down with the new Syrian leader today. And I don't even know that it's a mistake. But I am certainly not confident that that was appropriately vetted. I mean, remember, this is a guy who I think no less than what, a couple of months ago, he had a bounty, an American bounty on his heads in the tens of millions of dollars. I mean, this guy is an avowed terrorist, and there he is sitting right next to the president of the United, or it has been at least, designated terrorist, and here he is sitting next to the president of the United States. Frankly, that scares the hell out of me. And it does make me think that some of these trips are not scripted as much as they need to be and as much as they should be vis-a-vis America, just as it relates to American leadership generally.
Right.
And then I just don't think, look, you cannot separate the wins that I led with, because I do think it's important to look at this administration eyes wide open and acknowledge that they are bringing some of those relationships in the Middle East in particular closer to us. But the hangover here of things like the Qatari airplane, which is extraordinary. I used to oversee presidential gifts. I understand this a little bit. This is ridiculous, fundamentally ridiculous. That I also had to listen to frickin' people talk about Hunter Biden profiting off of things like Burisma in China for 4 years. And here we have the Trump administration going to these countries who have now, since January 20th, invested billions of dollars in things like the Trump family crypto entities. So this stuff is the geopolitics of this are extremely murky to me, despite some of those wins that I led with.
All right, that's a lot. Ben, I want to show you some video from today, but I'd love you to unmute and just pick up on any of the many points that Rufus made as you wish.
Yeah, I mean, I guess two things. One is that a big metric for Donald Trump, on whether something is a political success or not, is whether he's getting a lot of attention right now and controlling the narrative. And I think that for the first time, really in a while, like since Liberation Day, maybe, like he's back. And I think the White House is feeling great about being, surprising people and shocking people and telling a great story and doing stuff that no other president would do, including meeting al-Shara, who was the leader of Al-Qaeda, right? I mean, it's a
Yeah.
really, but it's also, this is, a kind of foreign policy that Trump certainly ran on and persuaded people of, that
Yeah.
the U.S. needed to be more focused on its interests, less moralizing, less
And
cautious.
and being willing to meet with anybody. I mean, he's made it
Yeah, and
clear
meet
that
and meet and talk to anybody. And
yeah.
you certainly did see today, like a lot of, I mean, I think one of the really interesting reactions today was you saw a lot of people who cautiously optimistic about the new Syria, saying, wow, Kamala Harris would have been afraid to do this. She would never have done it. Her
Right.
advisors like Rufus would have told her there's risk here, and she would never have done something like this, and this was incredibly bold.
Right. That was a delicious video experience. I think you'll agree. Now, what you need to do in return for getting to enjoy that is hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a thing.